Episode 1. The first day. The camera drone swept across the lake like a silent bird. Morning sunlight danced over the water, turning the surface into liquid gold. Beyond the shoreline stood a sprawling white villa surrounded by gardens, winding pathways, and rows of flowering trees. It looked less like the set of a dating show and more like a luxury resort reserved for people who had never needed to check a price tag. A narrator's voice echoed softly. 8 strangers. 10 weeks, 1 villa, and perhaps 1 chance at love. Inside a black SUV heading toward the villa, Lu Ming was having regrets. Many regrets. Possibly all the regrets. The production assistant sitting beside him glanced over. Nervous. Lu Ming laughed weakly. Is it that obvious? A little. A little. You've checked your hair 6 times in the last 10 minutes. Lu Ming immediately stopped touching his hair. The assistant smiled. Relax. Everyone's nervous. Easy for him to say. Lu Ming worked at an animal hospital. His daily routine involved dogs, cats, rabbits, and occasionally angry parrots. Animals made sense. People were harder. People with cameras pointed at them were impossible. The car finally slowed. Through the window, he caught his first glimpse of the villa. Oh, the word escaped before he could stop it. The place was beautiful. Huge glass windows reflected the sunlight. White stone walls rose above carefully maintained gardens. The lake behind the villa shimmered peacefully. For a moment, he forgot about the cameras. Then the vehicle stopped, and reality returned. The assistant opened the door. Good luck. The moment Lu Ming stepped out, cameras turned toward him. His smile nearly cracked. There were so many. Professional cameras. Handheld cameras. Drone cameras. Probably cameras hiding inside flower pots. Who knew? He adjusted the strap of his bag and tried his best to look natural. Unfortunately, his definition of natural currently resembled a deer wandering into traffic. The villa doors opened automatically. Cool air greeted him. The interior was somehow even prettier than the outside. Large windows overlooked the lake. A grand staircase curved upward toward the second floor. Comfortable couches filled the living room. Fresh flowers decorated every table. Everything looked expensive. Lu Ming stood in the center of the room. Alone. For the first time all morning, reality truly hit him. 8 strangers. Living together. Dating. Being filmed. His stomach flipped. A card sat on the coffee table. Welcome to Heartbeat Protocol. He stared at it, then laughed quietly. No pressure. 10 minutes later, the front door opened again. Lu Ming looked up and promptly forgot what he was about to say. The newcomer looked around his age. Maybe 23 or 24. Soft brown hair. Bright eyes. A slightly oversized hoodie. 2 enormous suitcases. And an expression that suggested he was already regretting every life decision that had led him here. Their eyes met. The newcomer immediately grinned. Please tell me I'm not the only one panicking. Relief washed through Lu Ming. Oh, thank God. The stranger laughed. See? I knew it. He dragged his luggage inside. Or at least he tried. One suitcase caught on the doorframe. The other tipped sideways. A zipper burst open. Clothes exploded everywhere. For 3 seconds, neither of them moved. Then Lu Ming doubled over laughing. Oh no. The stranger covered his face. I want to leave. You just got here. Exactly. They both crouched to collect the fallen clothes. By the time everything was stuffed back into the suitcase, the awkwardness had disappeared completely. The stranger extended a hand. Mo Xing. Lu Ming. Nice to meet you. You too. Mo Xing glanced around. At least you're normal. That's a dangerous assumption. Fair point. They laughed again. The cameras loved it. Somewhere in the production room, editors were probably already circling footage. 2 attractive contestants. Immediate chemistry. Easy conversation. Natural smiles. Perfect television. The next hour passed surprisingly quickly. Lu Ming and Mo Xing explored the villa together. The gym. The game room. The outdoor terrace. The lakeside dock. Every discovery became another excuse to talk. Mo Xing was studying contemporary dance. He had performed since childhood. He talked with his hands. His expressions changed every few seconds. His energy filled every space he entered. Lu Ming found himself relaxing. This felt manageable. Maybe. Possibly. Hopefully. The sound of another vehicle arriving interrupted them. Both turned toward the front windows. A black car pulled into the driveway. The door opened. A tall figure stepped out. Everything about him looked composed. Tailored black coat. Perfect posture. Measured movements. He carried one suitcase. Nothing else. As if he had packed exactly what he needed and nothing more. The villa suddenly felt quieter. Even before he entered, the front door opened. His gaze swept across the room. Brief. Controlled. Observant. His eyes landed on Lu Ming. Then Mo Xing. Then returned to the room itself. Hello. His voice was calm. Low. Polite. Nothing more. Mo Xing blinked. Hi. The newcomer nodded. I'm Shinny Chen. No smile. No visible nervousness. No awkwardness. Just complete composure. Lu Ming immediately felt underdressed. And underprepared. And somehow slightly louder than usual. Which was impressive because he hadn't spoken in 30 seconds. The contrast between them was impossible to ignore. Mo Xing bounced between topics. Lu Ming filled silences naturally. Chen seemed perfectly comfortable creating silences. The living room suddenly contained two separate atmospheres. One warm, one cold. Not unfriendly, just distant. Like someone standing behind glass. Still, Lu Ming couldn't help trying. So what do you do? Architect. Oh, that explained a lot somehow. Everything from the posture to the expensive coat suddenly made sense. What kind of architecture? Chen glanced toward him. The question seemed to surprise him. Commercial design. That's cool. A pause. Then unexpectedly. What about you? Lu Ming blinked. A vet. For the first time, something resembling interest appeared in Chen's expression. Veterinarian. Yep. I've never met one before. Lu Ming laughed. There aren't many opportunities. The corner of Chen's mouth moved almost imperceptibly. Not quite a smile, but close enough to count. Across the room, Mo Xing watched the exchange. Interesting. Very interesting. Because Shinny Chen had spoken more in 30 seconds with Lu Ming than he had spoken to anyone else since arriving. Maybe it meant nothing. Maybe. But dating shows weren't built on maybes. They were built on moments. And that felt like one. Even if nobody realized it yet. Outside, another vehicle turned into the driveway. The fourth contestant had arrived. Inside the villa, none of them knew it. But the first day had already begun shifting invisible pieces across the board. And somewhere far ahead in the story, every one of those pieces would matter. Episode 2, First Impressions. The villa had been surprisingly peaceful for exactly 27 minutes. Then the fourth contestant arrived. The sound of a car pulling into the driveway drew everyone's attention toward the floor-to-ceiling windows. Mo Xing immediately abandoned his seat. New person. Lu Ming laughed. Are you always this excited? Yes. Fair enough. Outside, the door of the black SUV opened. A young man stepped out carrying a duffel bag slung over one shoulder. He wore a black hoodie despite the warm weather, and his expression suggested he would rather be literally anywhere else. The first thing he pulled from the car wasn't luggage. It was a keyboard. A mechanical gaming keyboard. Everyone inside stared. Mo Xing blinked. Did he just bring a keyboard? Maybe he likes typing, Lu Ming offered. That thing costs more than my rent. The newcomer entered the villa. His eyes scanned the room quickly. Assessing. Measuring. Calculating. Not nervous. Just alert. Like someone entering enemy territory. Hey. The greeting was casual. Short. Efficient. He dropped the keyboard case carefully beside the sofa. Then his bag. My name's Qin Ziyu. Introductions followed. Chen nodded politely. Lu Ming smiled. Mo Xing waved enthusiastically. Ziyu seemed slightly overwhelmed by Mo Xing's energy. Most people were. What do you do? Lu Ming asked. Professional esports. Oh. Mo Xing immediately sat up straighter. Wait. Seriously? Seriously? You get paid to play games? Ziyu looked offended. I get paid to win. That's somehow scarier. For the first time, a grin appeared on Ziyu's face. It transformed him completely. The tension disappeared. And suddenly he looked his age. 27. Young. Handsome. Dangerous. The cameras loved him immediately. 30 minutes later, another vehicle arrived. The fifth contestant. The atmosphere changed before the man even entered. Something about the way he walked toward the villa felt confident. Not arrogant. Just comfortable. Like he belonged wherever he happened to be. The front door opened. A tall man stepped inside carrying a single suitcase. Neatly dressed. Well-groomed. Sharp eyes. Easy smile. Looks like I'm late. Nope, Mo Xing said immediately. You still beat 3 people. The newcomer laughed. Good. He extended a hand toward the nearest person. Feng Rui. Introductions began again. Unlike Yi Chen, who spoke only when necessary, Feng Rui seemed naturally skilled at conversation. Within 5 minutes, he knew everyone's careers. Within 10, he had learned embarrassing facts about half the room. Within 15, he had somehow convinced Mo Xing to reveal a childhood dance competition disaster involving a ripped costume. No. Mo Xing buried his face in a cushion. I trusted you. You told us voluntarily. That's not the point. Everything was going smoothly. Until Feng Rui noticed the keyboard. What is that? Qinziyu looked over. My keyboard. Why did you bring it? Because I use it. You're here to date. I'm here to exist. That's concerning. I feel the same about startup founders. The room fell silent. Feng Rui slowly turned. What? You're a startup founder, right? How do you know that? You look like one. Excuse me. The cameras zoomed in. Production assistants probably started celebrating. Conflict. Beautiful conflict. What exactly does a startup founder look like? Feng Rui asked. Ziyu shrugged. Expensive watch. Feng Rui glanced at his wrist. Continue. Too confident. I see. Probably drinks coffee instead of sleeping. Okay, that's true. Thought so. Mo Xing was openly enjoying this. Lu Ming wasn't even pretending not to laugh. Even Yi Chen looked mildly entertained. The argument continued through lunch. Not serious. Not hostile. But definitely competitive. Neither man seemed willing to lose. Even when there was nothing to win. The first real surprise happened later that afternoon. The producers sent a message to the Villa television. First impression game. The rules were simple. Each contestant would anonymously answer a series of questions. The answers would then be displayed publicly. No names attached. Everyone had to guess who wrote what. Chaos immediately followed. Question 1. Who seems easiest to approach? The most common answer appeared on the screen. Lu Ming. Everyone looked at him. Lu Ming groaned. Why? Because you're approachable, Mo Xing said. You literally helped me unpack my entire suitcase. Your suitcase exploded. Exactly. Question 2. Who seems hardest to read? The answer appeared instantly. Yi Chen. Nobody looked surprised. Not even Yi Chen. Mo Xing raised a hand. I voted for him. So did I, Lu Ming admitted. Most people probably did. Yi Chen simply nodded, as if he'd expected nothing else. Question 3. Who would survive a zombie apocalypse? The screen displayed. Qinziyu. What? Lu Ming looked confused. Why him? Competitive people always survive, Feng Rui said. They refuse to die out of spite. Ziyu pointed at him. That's the nicest thing you've said all day. Question 4. Who would be the most dangerous person to fall for? For the first time, the room grew quiet. The answer appeared. Feng Rui. Everyone blinked. Feng Rui looked genuinely surprised. What did I do? No idea, Mo Xing said. You have dangerous energy. What does that mean? No clue. The game ended. But something subtle had changed. Everyone now had first impressions. Categories. Expectations. Stories they were beginning to tell themselves. And stories were dangerous. Because first impressions were rarely correct. As evening approached, dinner preparations began. Contestants worked together in the kitchen. Or attempted to. Mo Xing nearly started a small fire. Twice. Lu Ming was banned from cutting vegetables after almost slicing his finger. Twice. Feng Rui insisted he knew what he was doing. Evidence suggested otherwise. Only Yi Chen appeared remotely competent. Have you cooked before? Lu Ming asked. Yes. Frequently. Yes. The answer somehow felt unfair. Of course Yi Chen could cook. He probably folded fitted sheets correctly too. By the time dinner finally reached the table, everyone was exhausted. Conversation flowed more naturally now. The awkwardness from earlier had faded. Laughter came easier. Silences felt less uncomfortable. The villa was beginning to feel lived in. At one point, Mo Xing excused himself to answer a phone call from production. The moment he left, the atmosphere shifted subtly. Quieter. More mature. Less chaotic. He's energetic, Feng Rui commented. That's one word for it, Ziyu replied. He seems genuine. The comment surprised everyone. including Ziyu. He looked away immediately afterward, as if he hadn't meant to say it aloud. Interesting. Very interesting. When Mo Xing returned, the conversation moved on. Nobody mentioned it. But somewhere in the editing room, producers were definitely saving that clip. Because dating shows thrived on moments people didn't realize they were creating. Night settled over the villa. Lights reflected across the lake. The water shimmered outside the enormous windows. One by one, conversations broke apart. People drifted toward bedrooms, toward balconies, toward quiet corners. The first day wasn't over yet. Not really. Not emotionally. Everyone was still observing, still deciding, still wondering. Who interested them? Who didn't? Who might matter? Standing alone on the terrace, Lu Ming looked out at the lake. The air was cool, peaceful. For a few moments he forgot about cameras, forgot about viewers, forgot about the strange experiment he'd signed up for. Behind him, the sliding door opened. Footsteps approached. He turned. Shen Yichen stepped onto the terrace. Neither spoke immediately. The silence wasn't uncomfortable, just unexpected. After a while, Lu Ming smiled. Pretty view. Yichen looked toward the water. Yes. Another pause. Then unexpectedly, you seem less nervous now. Lu Ming blinked. You noticed? I noticed things. The answer was simple. Matter of fact. Yet somehow it lingered. For reasons Lu Ming couldn't quite explain. A few seconds later, voices sounded from inside the villa. Mo Xing was laughing again. Loud enough for everyone to hear. The spell broke instantly. Lu Ming laughed. There he is. Yichen glanced toward the sound. Something unreadable flickered through his eyes, then vanished. And neither of them noticed the cameras quietly recording the moment. The audience would. Eventually. Just not yet. Episode 3, The Man Everyone Likes. The villa woke up earlier than expected. Mostly because Mo Xing had somehow managed to fall out of bed. Twice. The first crash happened at 6:42 a.m. The second happened at 6:47. By breakfast, everyone knew about it. I think the floor attacked me. No, Qinziyu said. You attacked the floor. I was sleeping. Clearly not successfully. The dining room erupted into laughter. Even Shen Yichen's coffee paused halfway to his lips. For a split second. A tiny expression. Gone immediately. Mo Xing pointed dramatically. I saw that. Saw what? You almost smiled. I don't know what you're talking about. Liar. The playful argument continued until production suddenly interrupted. The television screen lit up. A familiar logo appeared. Heartbeat Protocol. The room immediately quieted. A message appeared. Good morning. Today, another contestant will arrive. Please welcome them as a group. Only one. Mo Xing frowned. I thought there were 8 people. There are, Feng Rui said. We currently have 5. So we're still missing 3. Nobody noticed the brief glance exchanged between Yichen and Ziyu. Both had been doing the math. The atmosphere shifted. Excitement returned. Because first arrivals always had an advantage. They formed connections first. Established routines first. Created impressions first. Late arrivals had to catch up. Around noon, a black SUV rolled through the gates. Everyone gathered near the windows. Mo Xing was practically vibrating. Can you stop standing so close? No. You're blocking my view. Skill issue. The vehicle stopped. The door opened. A young man stepped out. Immediately, the villa grew quieter. Not because he was intimidating. Not because he was flashy. Quite the opposite. There was something naturally calming about him. Simple white shirt. Dark trousers. Soft expression. The kind of person who looked approachable without trying. The kind of person people trusted instinctively. The front door opened. He entered. Smiled politely. And somehow the entire room relaxed. Hello. His voice was warm. Gentle. Easy. I'm Jian. 3 seconds later, Mo Xing had already decided he liked him. Not romantically. Just as a person. Introductions followed. This time the process felt smoother. Everyone knew the routine. Names. Occupations. Small talk. What do you do? Lu Ming asked. I'm a music producer. That's so cool. Jian laughed softly. It's mostly sitting in front of a computer. You made it sound much cooler before that. Within 10 minutes, Jian somehow managed to hold separate conversations with everyone. Not forcefully. Not strategically. Naturally. He talked music with Mo Xing. Architecture with Yichen. business with Feng Rue, gaming with Ziyu, animals with Lu Ming. And somehow, every interaction felt genuine. Later that afternoon, producers arranged a casual group activity. A picnic near the lake. Nothing competitive. Nothing dramatic. Just conversation. Which was exactly what made it dangerous. Because attraction often began in ordinary moments. The group spread blankets beneath a large willow tree. The lake sparkled nearby. A soft breeze drifted through the grass. For the first time, the villa almost felt normal. Almost. The conversation eventually shifted toward relationships. As it always did. What kind of person do you usually like? Mo Xing asked. Feng Rue groaned. We're really doing this already? Obviously. Mo Xing pointed at Jian. You answer first. Why me? Because you're new. That's not a real reason. It's enough. Jian laughed. Then thought for a moment. A genuine moment. Not a television answer. A real one. I think. He looked toward the lake. I like people who make me feel peaceful. The answer surprised everyone, including the audience, because it sounded honest. Painfully honest. For some reason, Chen looked up, only briefly, then returned his attention to his drink. What about you? Lu Ming asked. Chen paused. The group collectively leaned closer. Because this was Chen, the human mystery box. After several seconds, he answered. I don't know. Everyone groaned. That's not an answer. It is. It's a terrible answer. For the first time all afternoon, Chen actually smiled. A small one, but real. And unfortunately for him, several cameras captured it. Across the blanket, Ziyu noticed. Interesting. Very interesting. Because Chen smiled rarely. And when he did, it changed his entire face. Meanwhile, another conversation was happening. Jian and Feng Rue. The topic had somehow become travel. Then food. Then embarrassing university stories. Then terrible first jobs. The transition was seamless. Natural. Easy. Watching them together, anyone would assume they had known each other for years. Even Lu Ming noticed. Those two get along well. Mo Xing followed his gaze. Oh, there was meaning packed into that single syllable. The cameras definitely caught that too. By evening, social media would probably explode. Assuming this episode had already aired. G in times Feng Rue. The first major ship. Exactly as the producers hoped. As the sun began setting, everyone returned toward the villa. The sky glowed orange. Golden light reflected across the water. Everything felt strangely peaceful. Until the television screen activated again. Everyone stopped. A new message appeared. Contestants. Tomorrow, another new arrival will join the villa. Please prepare for their arrival. Only one. Again? The room erupted instantly. Who are these people? Why are they making dramatic entrances? Can we get a schedule? No. The final arrival remained a mystery. And somehow that mystery felt larger than before. That night, as everyone prepared for bed, Jian stood alone on the second-floor balcony. The lake stretched endlessly before him. Quiet. Still. Peaceful. Footsteps approached. He turned. Chen stepped outside. Neither seemed surprised. For several moments, they simply stood there, watching the water, listening to distant insects. Then Chen spoke. You adapted quickly. Jian smiled. So did everyone else. A pause. Another breeze crossed the lake. And for just a second, something unreadable crossed Jian's expression. Gone almost immediately. Chen noticed, but said nothing. Far beyond the villa gates, another black SUV was already moving toward the city. Toward the final contestant scheduled to arrive tomorrow. Toward someone whose arrival would quietly change everything. Even if nobody knew it yet. To be continued.